Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. It is so wonderful to see you all here. Let me just get out of your way. My name is Leah Anish. I lead global consumer communications at OpenAI, which a lot of you might know ChatGPT, which is our company. And we are just so grateful and excited to be here with you all today to have a conversation about creativity and AI and how people are using it in their everyday lives. Before we get started, I would love to just see who's in the room. How many of you have used ChatGPT this week? Amazing, okay. And how many of you have used ChatGPT today, or we'll say yesterday, because it's a little early in the morning still? Okay, amazing, okay. So we're gonna talk about how ChatGPT, but AI more specifically in general, how it's a part of your everyday lives and how we're thinking about AI and creativity. I'm co-hosting this event alongside my colleague, Anna McCain. She runs our talent partnerships at OpenAI. We're gonna be here afterwards, so please come say hello. We would love to get to see you all, talk to you all. Our colleague Sierra is also somewhere here, Sierra Ambrose, who is our event manager. We would love to get to, hello Sierra. We would love to get to know you all more. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Corey Murray, who is the head of editorial content at Ebony magazine. I asked Corey yesterday if I could be her hype woman on the stage. She told me no. She said absolutely not. And she said, as Corey would say, she said, she was like, I want to make this about the panelists. It's not about me. It's not about me. It's about the panelists. So Corey, I just want to say thank you to you as well as the other panelists, but thank you to you. You've been such a trailblazer in the space. You are continuing to shape culture, shape the way people around the world think about things. And so I want to give you your flowers and say we are so appreciative and grateful for you. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Corey and we will get it started.
Is it on? Okay, so now. Leah's a boss. And we're in the Vineyard, so I'm not going to say the other thing because I do have a pouty mouth. But you know what I want to say. You guys got to know Leah. She's a bad woman in tech. So, whoop, whoop, okay.
Let's go.
But Leah's right. It is about the panelists, and I am so honored to be here with this amazing group of people. And starting here to my right is filmmaker and producer Aaliyah Williams. Woo. Radio and TV host and cultural critic Muse. The Cuts editor-in-chief Lindsay Peoples. And comedian and AI storyteller King Willonius. And if y'all can't read his hat, it says Zaddy. I want to just quickly tell a story that 3 years ago, I took a pause from publishing The Daily Grind because I just needed a break. But in doing that, a lot changed as far as tech and publishing. And I don't know about how many people in here have a friend or have that friend that always tries new tech. You guys have that person in your life? Well, that friend for me is Dee Dee Brown. And just as I was leaving the door, I used to work at Essence, she said, Corey, you've got to try ChatGPT. It'll change your life. And I was like, no. But then she got me to do it. And it really helped me with when I have writer's block, when I needed to do like strategy presentations, headlines. So I did become a believer. And now that I'm at Ebony, AI is in our lives. Now, AI is not writing our stories, but it is helping. And I can see that it is truly a creative partner. So I wanted to ask the panelists here, let's start with you, Mike. As a creative, what's the one thing you did before AI and that you now willingly give to AI?
Yes, that's such a great question. First, hello everybody. Happy summer to you all. Happy Vineyard time. I am honored to be moderated by the Corey.
Y'all just answer the question.
I have always wanted to be interviewed by the Corey. I remember I got set up to a breakfast to meet her. She had the oatmeal, and she wouldn't interview me, and she didn't write the article, and I've been bummed ever since that breakfast. I couldn't wait to put you on blast here today.
I was gonna say, it was a
share
set.
that.
Last night there was a setup. This was a setup.
So
okay.
the fact that I finally get asked a question by Corey is just like, yo, I have made it. Mama, I made it, if you're watching.
Meanwhile, he is on ABC every day. Every day.
But
Okay,
it's
good.
the Corey.
Okay.
With that being said, in my work, in conversations on air and on radio, I'm the journalist that doesn't believe in emotional-based conversation. I'm not going to be that guy that is going to do the clap back. You won't yes king me. I'm just not that. And so I believe I'm being data-led, because when you are data-led, it's hard for people to come back on you and to question it, right? You may disagree with what the data is, but you can't not disagree with that. That is just the data. And so for me, I used to have to tirelessly, the night before I had a hit, the night before I had a show, the night before I had an interview, research. But I would research numbers. I would research historical facts. I would go back to the 1960s. I would go back to the 1970s. I would go back to like, what was the framers of the Constitution thinking, in order to bring that up. And in the morning, I would get up to see what changed, right? Like that of the moment. That is painstaking, right? It is painstaking to be accurate. It is painstaking to be data-led, right? Mm-hmm. It's easy just to be like, oh, that's crazy. I can't believe she said that. You know what? America is going to be in trouble, y'all. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's easy to say, right? But the hard thing is to say, well, there's a challenge ahead if you look at the pattern starting from like 1960, then moving on to 1975, and if you like the southeast region of America, we saw this movement, and then that movement led to the southwest region in 1982, right? And so that's what I had used to do. But now what I do is I use ChatGPT for historical references. It is my own librarian. Mm-hmm. It is my own personal librarian, in particularly, so I can bring in those data sets. But to what Corey said is, at the end of the day, it can't do the conversation for me on television. Right. It can't do the conversation for me on TV, mm-hmm. but it brings together the data, and you have to be smart in order to read the data. Yes. You have to be smart in order to interpret the data, mm-hmm. right? Because just because you get the data, that also doesn't mean that it's correct, so then you have to check the data that you're getting. And so for me, I used to have to painstakingly look at the data. Now I can do it much more quicker. So I can get to bed a little bit earlier, wake up a little bit earlier, and now I can go to the gym. So it's great.
It does give you a little bit of your personal time back.
Yep.
Lindsay, how do you use AI?
I think that I like it best when, I have to do so much reading, and I always will, and I think that there was a time when I did start to feel like I'm reading so much for work, going through a 250-page legal document to make sure that we have the right tone on this story, right? And like a lot of that can be really taxing. It is 100% part of the job, but then it kind of takes away your love of reading. And I think that nothing will replace my curiosity and love of reading and finding a new book. I'm such a nerd in that way, but I think that because so much of my job is going through a lot of documents and fact-checking things, that is really helpful. And I think that I found it most useful when it's really that or like open-ended. I don't think when it's like an open-ended is there a way to view it this way or that way, not just a straight yes or no, because I think some of that can be, determined by the editor, obviously me, right? So like, I do think that when I'm asking open-ended questions, I found it to be really useful. But also there's just so much information to organize and brainstorm on. And not that you're looking for an answer, but it's not really about the why, it's like how do I organize all of this? And then the why really comes in of why we do it, our intention, what we want, what we want the reader to get out of reading the cut. Specifically, I think the cut is so voice driven, and so the information, like Mike was saying, is like the information is there, but like the way that we translate it, the way that we speak about something is up to us as editors.
Yeah. And Audrey, how about you? How do you use AI in your life?
I use AI, really it kind of started out as a desire to get to drinks quicker with one of my friends that was visiting me.
Okay.
And I really needed to write a recommendation letter for a good friend. And she was like, girl, don't you use ChatGPT? Like, put in the information about your friend, put in like where she's trying to get into this fellowship and some bullet points, and let's see what it generates. I was shocked by the letter that it generated. I tweaked a few phrases, and so that led me to deciding to figure out how I could shape my ChatGPT in my image, in my voice, in how I write notes to some of my creative partners, looking at scripts and breaking down structure, and then going back and forth with, I called my ChatGPT Lumi, going back with Lumi about what's right and what's not. And as I've started to embark upon my own journey as a director, I'm starting a documentary about the overlapping water crises in the American South. And so much like what Mike was sharing, I've used a lot of the deep research to kind of coalesce a big data set around a large topic that allowed me to kind of really drive into the heart of the matter a little bit faster, and to make my treatment about the questions that I'm going after a lot clearer. And so as I talk to my team and brainstorm with different aspects of creating the film, I've found that my ChatGPT really brings new ideas, but also it's always about driving back to it and saying, okay, where are your sources? Where did this come from? Because I have noticed that it has a bias to make you happy. And I'm like, Louis, where'd you get this from? This is not anything that we were just now talking about. Like, show me the source. And so it's a nice kind of partner to go back and forth with, especially if you have a lot of questions, and I don't want to annoy an assistant with the incessant way that my brain works.
Okay, so you three have definitely primarily used it as a research tool, right? But Will down here.
Hey.
Your bio, you're called a digital architect, futurist, and cultural innovator. And of everyone here on the panel, you have been recognized for your use of AI. You are a true collaborator. So why did you start using AI as a collaborator?
Really just because of the writer's strike, and I didn't have anything to do. So I just thought I kind of leaned into it. And originally I started using AI to try to break into Hollywood. So I had a bunch of scripts, and I was like, let me start making AI movie trailers based on my scripts. And then I just got in the habit of doing that. And then, if you guys don't know, I made BBL Drizzy. If you guys know about that song, that track.
BBL Drizzy.
Yeah. So, but that just happened. One day, Rick Ross was dissing Drake because he said Drake had fake abs, and BBL Drizzy was trending. And I just made a song about it. So I was like, UDO just came out. It was a new AI tool, and I wanted to test it out. And then made that song, and it went viral. And then it ended up being the first AI sample song in music history. So now, I try to use AI to kind of like disrupt industries. So like one of the things we're working on now is BBL Drizzy the musical, and that's going to be, it's super dope. It's going to be, but I go to a lot of planetariums, and I love dome experiences, and the biggest thing that I feel is missing from these planetariums is us. So like we don't attend it, and we're not creating stories for it. So BBL Drizzy is going to be pretty much like one of the first narrative dome experiences. So, but I wouldn't be able to do that without AI. Like it just allows you to like dream bigger, and then you can figure out ways to like execute on your vision. So that's the way I like to use it.
Okay. And later, we're going to see an example in real time of something that Will created literally on the way over here, which was like a 9-minute drive.
Yeah.
It's actually really, really fascinating. Lindsay, going back to you, like you and I have both been in publishing for a long time, and when you think about media, we have been resistant to AI, for obvious reasons. But I'm curious, has your platform embraced the productivity of AI in any capacity, or what are your protocols around using AI as far as story development? I know you talked about research or production.
Yeah, it's interesting. Editors and writers are like aggressively anti-AI in a way that I don't agree with, because I also just don't. I think it's better to have the knowledge and the tools, and you can use your own discernment to understand how then it best suits you, right? And I also just think it's important to not be left behind. If you don't want to personally use it, that's up to you. But I feel like writers and editors are so against it that they don't even have the knowledge or the understanding. And I do understand that also comes from like a fear around losing certain jobs, or when it comes to copy editing, fact checking, all of that. But I do, 100% think the productivity for writers, it's helpful. Like, I don't think that it will help you with the craft of storytelling as a writer. No, because I think that I can tell when somebody sends me a draft or a pitch, and I'm like, this is what you thought I would want, et cetera, but this isn't exactly how I would lay out the story. Or you have a story idea and you're pitching it to 8 different magazines, and you want it just to like give you some language to pitch it to 8 different magazines. And that's not really helpful, because honestly, if you want to pitch me, it does need to be more personal. You probably do need to know some editors. We have a doc that's on the site that's not behind the paywall of exactly how to pitch us, and it is like very specifically saying that it does need to be more personal. You have to kind of have the relationship with the editor, understand the different rubrics of, if it's not just a general, I want to write about, like there was a story today that we had about when grooms get violent at weddings and throw the wedding cake at their wife's face, right? And so like, it's actually funny story. It gets a little dark at the end, but it talks about the trend of like on TikTok, like people like the grooms like throwing the cake in their wives' faces, right? And the wives specifically saying beforehand, like, do not embarrass me, don't do this to me on our wedding day, etc. And we had a lot of people pitch it to us, but then honestly for me it was like, oh no, this actually needs to be reported, not first person, which you would only know if you really read the site, right? Or I think it needs to be as told to. You need to get at least 8 different people who have posted about this on TikTok, and then you need 2 other people that this has actually happened to them. Like it does help with some of the productivity, but it doesn't help, I think, always with the narrative and the vehicle in which we do a lot of storytelling. So I think the productivity of, is this something that people are talking about? Where are the videos for this? How do I connect this topic with domestic violence cases around, people getting divorced, Like, I think it can help in certain ways there. But as far as like when you're writing the story, the craft of that still has to kind of come from editing and just writing more, honestly.
No, I agree with you. I can, there's someone on my team, I can tell they use it a lot, and it's like no shade to them, but they continually send me documents, and I'm like, I know what you did here. Yeah. Because it's just a word salad. And I was like, this is not really saying anything. And he was like, well, I put it in ChatGPT. And I was like, I get that, and that's okay, but you still have to put some thought into it. I mean, have you guys
you also have to put some thought into how you prompt ChatGPT. And so I went through a process of, okay, I'm gonna submit it emails, letters, my notes drafts, how I creatively think and write, so that when it gives me something, I'm not like, what the hell is this? And even still, you'll get things that are great, but there's got to be a focus on your human-centered creativity and how you think and how you process and how you're going to shape that content. You just can't expect ChatGPT to do everything for you. So I think that's some of the fear that I don't think people should have. I think people should all get into it, play with it, and see how you can make it your own.
Mike, I want to go back to you, and I'm going to quote you something that actually Will has said during his Time 100 speech that I watched. But Will said, AI doesn't just automate, it amplifies. It breaks down barriers, giving voices to those who were too often left unheard. So my question for you is, how do you see AI amplifying representation on screen? And Aaliyah, you can also jump in on that as a filmmaker and producer.
Such a great question. I think that actually goes to equity and making things more equitable. My start in my career was music. So I started my own independent record label. And at the time, the barrier to music was so high. That was a time when it would cost like $10 million to make an album. You had to have $5 million in order just to promote a single. You had to have maybe $10 million just to do a video. And so the barrier was so high. But then we start seeing music technology come out to where you can make an album on the road if you're on tour. You can make an album in your bedroom. And you didn't have to make a video that cost $1 million. You could use your iPhone and do videos on iPhones. And so the technology of cell phones and the technology of music production reduced the barrier of entry to do that. I think that's exactly what's happening with AI tools and ChatGPT tools, is that it's reducing the financial barrier to allow individuals who may not have access to be able to do it in a couple of different ways, right? One, be able to write the script is changing. But then two, the tools that you can now use in order to create a movie. I know Will's probably just going to demonstrate that to us as well. But before, to create it, you have to have large sets, big budgets, lots of staff on the film in order to make it. Now that doesn't need to happen anymore. But the most important thing that I want to really zero in on about making things equitable is that there was a challenge with marketing black films. And the challenge of marketing black films was people would always say it wouldn't sell. And in particular, it wouldn't sell globally. And also, too, the poster, they would say if you had all black cast, it wouldn't translate globally. And that's what film and box offices really care about. But with AI, you can do targeted marketing and you can do strategic marketing, to which we've all used, right? If we watch Netflix, you will watch a movie, and then it would say, if you like this movie, then you will love this movie. We all listen to our Apple Music, our Tidal, our Spotify. If you like this artist, then you will love this artist. The same thing now, we can do that with marketing for our films. We can find audiences that will be interested in the storyline that we can create. You can put in ChatGPT, give me a storyline that is based on a demographic that will sell globally, internationally, domestically. You can do that. But also, too, we've been pigeonholed that every time a black film comes out, only black audience will appreciate it. Lies, right? Our stories are universal stories. We just never had the marketing budget or marketing teams that was willing to put in that effort for it. But now we have these AI tools that allow us to do strategic targeting marketing to Latinos, to whites, to Jewish, to Asian, to whatever the spectrum is that will be interested. I think the best example that I always use is Girlfriends, right? So all black female-led cast having a rambunctious time in New Orleans. I compare it to Bridesmaids. All female white cast having a rambunctious time on their trips. It's the same story. It's the exact same women doing the exact same thing. How come you can't market Girls Trip to the audience that you market Bridesmaids to? But how come you can't market Bridesmaids to the same trip that you do Girlfriends? And so that's what I mean by it makes things equitable, right? It lessens the burden of the cost. It also, too, creates better opportunities for strategic marketing so your film can get sold and placed and positioned, and it helps tell your story. And it also, too, lowers the barrier of entry to film school, which has always been a barrier for underrepresented communities in order to get into film school, is the cost and the selectivity of it. So now it helps you be self-aided in that approach. So for me, these products are more, it makes things equitable.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if how you make film and television is that much revolutionized by AI at this moment. In terms of network television, if you want your film on Netflix or whatever. However, I do think that it can help you scale your efforts. So, we're in this really constricted time in the industry right now, coming out of peak TV, coming out of, the economics of streaming that's still being dealt with and the ramifications of the double strikes. So I think that for creatives out there, it can help you scale your ideas and come up with more ideas faster, putting together, more pitch decks. But I think the very human element of writing a script is still going to be celebrated. But I think AI can help you in terms of, like I struggle with staring at a blank page. And so as you're
Writer's
going through
block
those,
is real.
yeah, writer's block is very real. So as you're going through those different points where you may end up with like a bottleneck, or you're just out here peddling one script or one idea, I think that it can help creatives expand to have a slate of projects they can go and pitch and have more, bites at the apple to get something to break through.
I want to throw to Will and prep his film to be shown, because one of the beautiful things, and I'm not just saying this to gas you up, but in all honesty, y'all, he created this film that we're about to watch. It's a short film, literally in the time coming over here. And had I not heard him say that it was AI, I thought it was real. I missed. There was one part where you a head is turned backwards. I was like, what? But I think that's probably what got my attention, to look at the screen. But looking at it, hearing your voice, seeing the work, seeing the beauty of the skin tones, it resonated with me. And I found it hard to say, well, what's real and what's not. So, but you're going to explain that better than us. So prep for us what we're about to watch.
Yeah, so this film is called The Inkwell Remembers, and in preparation for doing this talk, I wanted to just make a short film just to kind of show the tools, right? Because I've been just a big advocate to not saying that AI is going to replace us, but I just want us to kind of reframe the thinking around AI, because a lot of times the thinking is what AI is going to take away from us, and it's a lot of fear. But I just try to challenge people to think what could you do with your genius paired with AI, right? Like instead of thinking about almost from a scarcity mindset, look at it as an opportunity, because literally AI has changed my life just because I decided to get curious and start doing things. And now I was able to impact the music industry. I'm not even a musician like that, right? But I got a song with Drake. I got flued out by Kendrick. That was my first time getting flued out. So,
yes, that's the hat.
But I, in all seriousness, no, we have tools now, right? So are we gonna make a whole feature? I mean, you could make a feature film if you want to, but at the very least, we all have ideas, we all have stories that we want to tell, and we can actually just, if you have a movie, you can, instead of making a pitch deck, you can make a trailer. And then you can show people exactly what you're trying to make. Yeah. So with this project, it's I guess a visual poem to Martha's Vineyard. I've been coming here for the last 4 years. I love Martha's Vineyard. I do the polar bears. Shout out to anybody that do the polar bears. And yeah, so this is too, it's all AI. It's AI visuals. The music is AI. The voice is my voice, but as you'll hear, it doesn't sound like me. I use AI to change the voice. And yeah, so it's called Inkwell Remembers. And I hope you guys like it. It's a minute, but it was made all through AI, and then we used Sora to animate it. And the images are made via Midjourney. So yeah.
Film premiere, y'all. Film premiere.
And I made it on the ride over, and so if it sucks, you know what I'm saying, just
It's not gonna suck.
Oh, you can't see? Are we getting away?
Our grandmothers came carrying stories, bearing joy and dreams soft as a sea air, to this place where skin could breathe and names weren't whispered but sung. The cameras were few and witness was sacred. The inkwell was memory made flesh. We returned like the tide itself, pulled by something older than memory. This shoreline holds jazz and justice. Fish frying at dawn, stories still unfolding. The tide always brings something back. A voice, a prayer, a name. The inkwell doesn't just hold our stories, it holds us.
Hello? Oh. But wait, was this the first AI film to premiere at the Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival? All right, let's do that.
Let's go.
Congratulations. no, but I mean, that's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Congratulations.
Oh, wow. That's really, okay.
But Corey, well, that's exactly what I think Lindsay and I were just talking about, right? Like, the future is now, right? Like, and if you don't start using it, you will get left behind, right? And he just did this in 9 minutes. Imagine if he sat with something for like, I don't know, maybe 8 hours. Imagine what it would be, right? Like, and it's gonna be more products that will iterate, that will improve upon this I don't know what number this is, but whatever iteration number this is, 5 iterations more, look how it would look, right? Yeah. And that's what we're saying when it comes that you can't be afraid of it. What we think of traditional movies now would not be traditional movies of the future, right? But as Will also said, we can't be afraid of it from displacement. I know a lot of individuals in Hollywood are worried about displacement, but it's a matter of like, how then do we work with the technology as partners so that there is no displacement, but this is a transference and an upskill of the trait that is there. So salute, brother.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Oh, I think it's working now. Okay, I'm sorry. But I honestly, I think that I feel like AI is actually going to create jobs in the short term, right? Because like in working on BBL Drizzy the musical, because it's a dome experience. Like we had to actually like hire people in order to actually execute. So we're using Unreal Engine. We had to hire like different people to do the post production thing, like workflows. So like I think it's going to allow us to like dream bigger and then actually create more employment. So like I always look at like in life, man, it's always yin and yang. So like as much as bad things that may be negative, there's going to be a lot of positive. Like you look at Web 2.0, 10 years ago or 15 years, a social media manager wasn't a thing. Now they're making 6 figures. You know what I'm saying? So there will be opportunities, but regardless of whatever, we have to like lean in and decide to like start utilizing these tools because it's not just going to affect the creative industries. It's going to affect like healthcare, education, like you name it. You know what I'm saying? And the last thing I would just want to say, we have to stop saying that we're getting left behind. We have to reframe it. Because like as black people, we gotta be like, black people are killing it in AI. Like we're the AI leaders. Like when they start thinking about black people in AI, they're like, we're the ones that are actually like champion and leading the wave in AI. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I've been like on right now, lately.
And Will, you talked a bit about that last night, that as much as people are like, oh, the devil, AI is evil, but it's actually leveling the playing field. Can you explain that a bit more? Like
Yeah, well, because this is like the first time that we have like the equal amount of tools. Like we all have the same amount of tools, right? So, somebody in Silicon Valley or somebody in New York, wherever, like we all like have the same tool. Before, we might not have access and whatnot, but like you can utilize ChatGPT or just any AI tool to do whatever it is you need to do. So you can operate like a Fortune 500 business. Like they have AI agents. Like I just saying like we have to. The same way we have conversations about LeBron versus Jordan or Love Island or anything that, like, which is cool to have these conversations, but we got to be talking about AI every day. I'm in a bunch of group chats with, other people, and they are all day, every day talking about, if I don't check the group chat, it's 100, 200 plus messages talking about AI. They're sharing tools, they're sharing workflows, they're figuring out like how to use these tools to scale, make money. So like this is a prime opportunity to scale your businesses, to change your life, to empower your family. So like we have to like take this very, very serious. Like we can't just put our head in the sand and think that everything's gonna go away. You know what I'm saying? So
what has another thing that's personally reshaped my thinking around AI, it's something I read in the Hollywood Reporter. It was their cover story, Rise of the Machines Inside Hollywood's AI Civil War. And Aaliyah, I want to come to you with this. So the writer wrote, quote, "Cinema is built on an illusion. Filmmaking technology tricking us to believe that something really happened. Think the Death Star, in Star Wars." Or they use the example of James Franco in 127 Hours. I didn't see that film, but apparently it's about the man that got stuck in the rock. He had to cut off his own arm, but they used technology to show him cutting off his arm, and we believed it. Oh wait, hold on, let me finish it. So, and it says, for 125 years in the history of filmmaking, we have accepted it because humans are standing behind it. An AI scene happened because someone uttered some magic words into little pieces of silicon, ran through 800 trillion calculations per second. So my question to you is, and well, to everyone, is Hollywood's resistance to AI, is it because they're not patient? You know, like what are some critics and adaptations being made with your counterparts?
It's not like AI hasn't been a part of how we make films. I mean, CGI, all of the techniques that we see in big tentpole films with VFX and things like that, those are AI-like tools, right? But I think what it comes down to, as we've seen the compression in the economics for the industry, people are scared about their livelihoods. Yeah. So specifically writers, actors, you know, this has been a very craftspeople type art process in terms of film, in terms of television. So I think it's about how do we reposition some of these roles that we have to where they're still human-centered, but we're all utilizing the tools that can expand and amplify the work that we do. Because at the end of the day, there's still going to be, at least I hope, that there is still a desire for there to be a perspective of a production designer, the perspective of a costume designer, to create these designs and have tools that can amplify their work. But I'm still very much so interested in human-led artistic processes, so that we still have an industry to be a part of. And yes, these tools are available to everyone, but I think we have other examples of where Black folks get displaced first in their craftsmanship. And so I think, you know, what Will is doing, what we're all talking about, is how do you harness it for your best purpose?
Okay. Before we wrap up, I want everyone to comment on this question, but Lindsay, I'm gonna come to you first, because we're all creators here, and I think we all believe that storytelling remains the heartbeat of compelling, you know, content, visual content. But what ways are you willing to use AI to embrace the amplification of content?
I mean, I think the amplification is so useful, and I think that's why I'm actually really excited about it. I think what we do at The Cut is so voice-driven, and we cover so many things. I mean, we have around 50 stories go up in a day. We are also in print, and I think that just the reality is like people aren't going to read everything that we put up, and so how do we use it to then amplify? We're doing all of this great work that does require the work of writers and editors and photo and art and all these amazing teams. But how do we then amplify and get that out there to the right people, as Mike was saying, I think is one of the best uses, and that's incredibly helpful as an editor, because, I mean, ultimately, yeah, like people aren't reading the great stories that we're doing, then we have to do better about amplifying it. And so that is, for me, extremely helpful as an editor.
I will say this too, something I love now that a lot of media is doing is when I don't have time to read, because like when you read for your job, it's a lot, but I click that button that says listen to the article. And the New York Times is really good because they'll quickly tell you this is an AI voice. And at first I was like cringed, but now I've gotten used to it.
Yeah, we've been testing that out as well. For a lot of some of them, it's a little wonky because it's like we do a column called Sex Diaries, and it's like a weekly diary of you dating, sex, relationships, etc. And so then sometimes I'm like, I wouldn't say that sentence that way because that date didn't go well, right? But like, you give some feedback, etc. But then for a lot of the articles, it does work really well. And so I do think that it's helpful for our audience 100%.
Mike, let's go ahead.
Yeah, I was shaking my head. I think one, what Lindsay says, right, the amplification, and I think also too, it helps with volume, right? As we know right now, content is king. Right? I'll use two examples. When you think about music industry, an artist, and we all know Sade, right? Sade will come out and we'll love her and she'll go away for 10, 15 years, and then she'll come back and she'll still be a hit. You can't do that anymore. So now you almost have to be touring every year. You have to at least be dropping singles every year. Cardi B has yet to drop her second sophomore album, but she's been around so much because of singles. That's insane. Cardi has given us a song at least twice a year, or be on a feature at least once a year. That's how you say. So I think for the amplification becomes content and volume. That's number one. But I just had this thought, and I was just thinking about this to your previous question about Hollywood. And I think Hollywood has to take a lesson from the music business. And I'm thinking about, we all remember the days of Napster, right? And the music industry fought Napster through lawsuits. And they sued Johnny, who was living in Toledo, Ohio, who was burning CDs in his bedroom for like $1 zillion, right? They were so anti-Napster. They were so anti all this. And yes, it was copyright infringement. Yes, it was taking away from the creators. Yes. But the music industry should have adapted to have said, wait a minute, there's a transition how people are experiencing music. There's a transition to how people want to receive their music. There's a transition here how there's something digital about it. And then what do we see next? iTunes. iTunes came and became digital and disrupted the music industry. Here goes the music industry, still fighting digital, still fighting iTunes. Finally, they began to partner, but it was almost too late. They began to partner when Spotify came, when Tidal came, when Apple Music came. But at this part, the product and value of CDs had went down so much, the artists lost so much value of their work because people were like buying things for 99 cents. And then iTunes knew they had the competitive advantage, so they can negotiate against the labels, right? Like, look, this is how consumers want to receive their music. We're it. No one's going to Tower Records anymore, Def Jam, right? No one's going to Warehouse Records, Universal.
Not to cut you off, but it also birthed the single. I mean, there
Yes.
were always singles, but
Yeah.
that
It birthed it.
Birthed like playlist and.
Yes. So I think Hollywood has to do this. And Hollywood is about to be in big trouble. They have got to do the same thing and begin to embrace technology, begin to embrace
Well, I don't
AI.
think they're not, though.
Hold
I
on,
mean, I
let
think
me
the studios-
finish.
Go ahead.
There has to become some embracing of this technology and understanding to really what Will says. Like, and I'm a big believer, every industry is going to be disrupted. The audacity of Hollywood to think that it's not going to be disrupted. Medical industry is about to be being disrupted. Legal. I'm come from the state of Michigan. Manufacturing, home of General Motors, home of Ford, it's about to be disrupted. We're doing autonomous car testing in New York City right now. Things, every industry, food, hospitality is about to be disrupted by AI. And so Hollywood has got to be on notice that the disruption is coming. It's a matter of how do you think about it? How do you partner with it? How do you reposition? How do you recreate? And how do we upskill the craftsmen that are a part of it to make sure they don't get left out? Because as Will said, I mean, we can't stop making excuses. Like, it is there, but then we get into the policy discourse, which isn't for this conversation right now, but we have to start pushing back on our elected officials to create more digital curriculums and literacy K through 12 to prepare us for the next future. The cavalry is not coming to save us. Like, we have got to save ourselves. We have to stop waiting on people to come. They're not coming. So we have to go to these town halls, we have to go to these state fairs that all of our elected officials are out right now and says, what are you doing to make sure that my kids in public school have digital literacy? That they have some computer science class in elementary school, they have some AI, some type of coding, some critical thinking around digital literacy. How are we rethinking academic and university, some sociology programs to compare and partner with technology companies to make sure that is there to prepare for the new workforce? How do we sit these empty manufacturing companies? How then do we recreate it and partner with Hollywood to bring studios and work here? We have to force them, and we have to stop waiting. The tools are here. We have to stop waiting for somebody to use the tools for us. Right. And that's the real conversation we need to have.
So what I will say is that I wouldn't say that Hollywood is not embracing AI. AI is happening in Hollywood right now. There are whole AI production studios that are completely revolutionizing the way that production happens currently. I think, a lot of the things that came out of the writer's strike is, the WGA putting policy around and a framework around how to work with AI when there are AI-generated materials and what type of credits and how that works in terms of our intellectual property process. So that is all occurring. But I think, the volume of the fear is louder than what's actually happening in the real workplace.
And speaking of the fear, and I would love to end with Will, because again, you're not scared. What would you say to us as creatives in this space, as filmmakers here? What is that one takeaway that you want to tell them about the future of AI?
Oh man, jeez, I got so much.
And
to say.
collaborating as a creative.
Yeah, I would just say just embrace it. You know, that's probably like the biggest thing. Learn as much as you can right now, because things are. We got 5 months. We got 5 months.
What's coming in 5 months?
Just more disruption, just more things. But I said this last month. I said we got 6 months last month, and so yeah, it's 5 months now. But
Once
just
you know that we don't
Is
know.
this the countdown to 2026?
No,
What's
I'm
happening
just
in
saying, like,
2026?
it's just things are getting, like, the tech is getting better every day.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just focus on the AI film side. Every day there's new tools coming out. Like, just in the last week, Runway dropped Act 2, which is a game changer, right? They dropped a leaf. There's a model called Wan 2. Y'all know that the Chinese are literally cooking every day. So the tools the current tools that we have right now, you can make a feature film. Whether or not somebody wants to watch an AI feature film, that's another subject or whatever. But the tools are there right now that you can actually. Why I say we got 5 months is some of the barriers to entry are like the price. VO3 is really good, but it's like $250 a month. Once they drop a model that's $20 a month, the floodgates are open, right? So, and you know that more tools are gonna come out, and you don't have a lot of like traditional filmmakers that are really diving into AI tools right now. So a lot of the AI filmmakers that are cooking and getting all these brand deals and feeling themselves, it's just because like the real, I'm not calling them real artists, the other artists that use a different medium, they're not in this space yet. So, but then all the large language models that are coming out, like, so in 6 months from now, the tools are going to be insane. So I just say, like, just as much as you can, find a community. And if you're in New York, we have a community that I created. It's called AI in the Culture. You can tap in. We meet once a month. We meet every Saturday. I sit there and I show people how to use the tools. But find a community, start learning. You can get on Twitter, you can get on YouTube, you can WhatsApp. But learn as much as you can, and then just don't be afraid, you know what I'm saying, of what's happening. Just almost take a Tai Chi approach, like just flow with it. And you'll be all right, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I don't know how many religious people in here, but I believe in God. I think God got us. We're gonna be all right, like Kendrick said. But at the same time, we have a tremendous opportunity right now. Like, focus on the opportunity, because like you can change your life, like myself, in a month, and you know what I'm saying, just by using these tools. They're master tools. So I would just say, just lean in, find a community, and learn as much as you can, and then and implement. So be a curious doer. Be very curious and then do the thing. Don't wait on people. Don't wait on anybody. Like, as soon as you see something, build it. Like, just start. So that's what I would say.
And that creativity and starts with humans. So.
Right.
All right. Thank you all so much. Thank you, OpenAI, and stay tuned for big news.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.